Okay, today we'll be doing kind of putting everything together. So today we're doing composition of isometries, and all an isometry is just rigid motion transformation, which is everything that we've done up to this point: reflection, rotation, and translation. So composition of isometries is just doing two or more of them, one after the other. And so when we're doing a composition, we always do the right transformation first. So it's weird and it's hard to get out of the habit of doing that. So in this first example, the translation is the thing I want to do first. The reflection is the thing I want to do second. It's always the thing on the right first, then the thing on the left. So it's it's opposite the way we way we read, and so sometimes that can be difficult to do. So I'm going to take the images or the points here. I've got text, so I've got -5, 2, -1, 3, and then -2, +1. And so here is text. And so first thing I want to do is my translation. Remember, the first thing tells me left or right. The second thing tells me up or down. So I'm just going to slide each point down 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5. So here is my, this will be text prime. So T-E-X. Each of those with a prime on it. And then I want to do a reflection over top of the line x is equal to 0. The line x is equal to 0, again, is going to be a vertical line. X is equal to 0 is actually my y-axis. And so I'm going to flip each one of these points over. So there's my E double prime, my X double prime. And then T is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away. So I put another 5 spaces. So here is my text double prime with 2 little apostrophes with it. And so that's my final image right here. That's my final answer, just colored in to show that it's my final image. With the second ones, again, same thing. I want to do my translation first. I want to do my reflection second. So still going to do it with the same text or triangle text. So I go -5, 2, -2, 1, and -1, 3. So there's my first image. Again, my translation is going to be a movement one place to the right. So there's, again, this was, oops. So now I have, here's my text prime. And then I want to do a reflection over the line y is equal to -2. Again, that's going to be a horizontal line, 2 below my origin. Oops. And so there's my line of reflection right there. And so I can reflect each of these over. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 5. Be right there. And then my T prime will be right there. So I end up with this as my final image. Text double prime after my composition, my shift right 1, and then my flip, my reflection over the line y is equal to -2. So again, this is, go ahead and color it in. That's my final image, just so I can see which one's my final. Okay. So now what we're going to do, and this one's one that's a little tricky kind of, is we're going to write our transformation rule. And so right where it says that, if you could just underline with me. So if the orientation changes, I've got to have a reflection. And so what I mean by that is if I look at if I look at, we're going to end up doing both of these, but if I look here, so I want to get this trapezoid to be on top of the trapezoid that I highlighted there. So if I want those two to be on top of each other, it should be kind of obvious that they're not facing the right way. If I look at it, this side right here, XY, has to be on top of BC. And so they're not on the right side of the trapezoid, and so I'm going to have to use a reflection to get them oriented the right way. Could be one, could be two. We can kind of see as we go. So when I'm writing a transformation rule for this, I'm going from this guy down to the other trapezoid. What I want to do is, first thing I want to do is, if I reflect it over a vertical line, I'll get it oriented the right way. So if I reflect it over this vertical line, so my y-axis here, what I would get is my y would stay in place, my x would become here, my w would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then my z would go 5. And so my new shape would be here, looking like that. So again, when I write this, that reflection has to be the first thing I do. Once I do that, then I want to bring the D down to the J. And so I'm going to go left 1 and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So when I write this composition of isometries, what I want to do is, again, the first thing I want to do is reflect it over my y-axis. So remember that that's going to be the second thing that I write. So I'm going to go reflection over the y-axis. And then the first thing that I want to do, the thing that I write first, the thing I'm going to do second, is I want a translation of left 1 and then down, whatever I said, did I say 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so left 1 and down 5 is going to be a translation of -1, -5. My pre-image was WXYZ is equal to my image, which is ABCJ. This is the way that I would write my transformation rule. Again, this has to be the thing that is written, done first. This has to be the thing that's done second. So I reflect it over the y-axis first, then slide it 1 to the left and down 5. Translation of -1, -5. The next one that I want to do is I want to get this triangle, DEF, to be on top of LMN. And so to get it oriented the right way, what I'm going to try to think about is getting the first two letters to be on top of the first two letters. So DE on top of LM. Oops, sorry. DE on top of LM. And so there's a couple different ways to do these. I think the easiest way to get them oriented the right way, I think the first thing that I'll do is I'll do a reflection over my x-axis. So when I do that, I end up with my points here, and then that's going to be 5 down. So when I do that, I get this triangle. And then once I do that, actually, if I just do a reflection over my y-axis, then I'll get it to be on top of the other one. So again, I'm going to do a reflection. First thing I did was a reflection over the x-axis. The thing that I did second was a reflection over the y-axis. Again, my pre-image was DEF is equal to LMN. Again, remembering this is first, this is second. Okay? Go ahead and flip over to the back of your notes. With the next one, I want to get UVW on top of QNM. And so when I do that, let's see. I'm going to do again first two letters on first two letters. So UV, I want to get it on top of QN. And so, again, I can do, let's see if I can get it oriented the right way by flipping it over top of the horizontal line, just like that. And again, there's some different ways to do this. Doing it over the X and Y axis is usually pretty easy, so that's why I'm doing it that way. And so when I flip it over the X axis, I get the triangle looking something like this. Again, this is still my UV. And then I can just go ahead and do a slide over. So from there, I can slide it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So my first thing that I did was a reflection over the x-axis. So I'll go reflection over the x-axis. And then the second thing that I did that I'm going to write first is a translation. It's left 6. So it's a translation of -6, 0. Of my preimage, UVW, is equal to QNM. Again, that was a left 6, which is a -6. And then the last one, I want to get ABCD to be mapped on JKHI. And so again, I want to get AB on top of JK. So I want to get this on top of this. So again, yes, they're oriented, they're kind of oriented the right way, where I'd be able to just slide it on top. But since I want to get AB on top of KJ, I'm going to want to change the orientation, and so I'm going to have to end up doing a couple reflections to get AB and KJ on top of each other. So if the first thing that I do is reflect it over the x-axis, I would get this. Oops. Like that. Again, this is my AB. And then again, I can't slide it, so I've got to reflect it one more time. So I could do a reflection over top of my y-axis then. When I do that, I would get here 4, 4, 2, 1, 2 to -5, +5. I would get here, whoops. And then I would see that I would just have to then lower it down one from there. So again, what I did first was I did a reflection over my x-axis. So a reflection over the x-axis. Then I did a reflection over my y-axis. And then last, I did a translation. Again, I'm just doing translation going down 1. And so a down 1 translation is going to be a translation with a rule of 0, -1. My preimage is ABCD is equal to JKHI. That's my rule. Again, I can do 3 different ones, just knowing that I'm going from right to left. So first, second, and then third. And then last two, with this second to last one, I want to move JQV onto EWT. So I want to go from this one to this one, JQ to EW. Again, the first 2 letters onto each other. And so what I want to do is, first thing, that y-axis is kind of hard to see, but I'll do a reflection over my y-axis. When I do that, I get something looking like this. Then at least it's oriented the right way, so a reflection over the y-axis first, and then I'm just going to move it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 5. So first I did a reflection over my y-axis, and then after that, then I did a translation up 5, which is going to be a translation of 0, 5. My preimage, which was JQV, is equal to EWT. And then the last one there, we want to go from NAV to BCY. And so when I do this one, again, I want to get NA onto BC, NA onto BC. So again, to get them oriented the right way, first thing I can do is a reflection over my x-axis. When I do that, I end up with a point here, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down 4. So I end up with this. Again, this is those are the 2 pieces that I have highlighted that I want to get on top. And then I can just go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, that's left 5 translation, which is going to be a -5. So I did a reflection over the x-axis first. And then the second thing that I did was a translation of -5, 0. That's NAV is equal to BCY.